Okay, here's part two. Nonverbal predication in Tagalog, aka being and having. So let's jump right into it with null copula constructions. So basically, if you have a copular construction, there's no like verb for to be, or other particle for kind of identity and identity relations, or set relations like is um but you do have this basic pattern of the predicate first and then direct case marked subject. So for example, Doktora ako, I'm a doctor, where ako is in direct case. Doktora si Ivy, Ivy is a doctor, where Ivy is in direct case. And notice Doktora doesn't take any kind of marker. Um, there is an exception if the subject is a demonstrative. It doesn't take any case marking. So bahay yan, that's a house. Yan, the medial demonstrative, doesn't take any case. It's also kind of hard sometimes to distinguish between this pattern and verb phrases because some roots seem to take verb morphology, but can also not take verb morphology. And in a lot of those cases, it looks just like this pattern. So, for example, I'm scared of spiders. Tako tako sa gagamba. Tako tako is kind of indistinguishable on morphological grounds from the null copula construction. Uh, but then if you make it verbal, natako tako, I got scared, or I'm in the state of having gotten scared, um, then you've got that na. But there's something weird about that na, which I'm also gonna talk about. Um, it looks like this is blocking okay. So, direct and indirect case basics. Wait, this is the wrong, sorry, this is a repeated slide. This is where we want it to go. Locative copula na. So if you have a locative predicate, then it needs to be preceded by na. And these look suspiciously like na verbs. So I'll be at home later is mamaya nasa bahay ako. And I think it's wrong if you leave out the na. Um, I wish I could be there to see if Francesca is nodding or not. Because now that I think about it, we didn't test if you take the na out of these, what happens. Or I was in Texas recently. Nasa, Texas, si Ivy kanina. Sorry, Ivy was in Texas recently. And to negate these, you use the negative existential wala. Wala ako sa bahay. I wasn't at home. And that contrasts with the null copula constructions because those are negated using Hindi. But yeah, you can compare these to these kind of stative verbs like sleep. Tulog ang isda, the fish was sleeping, and natulog ang isda, the fish slept. Um, so existentials, you have two patterns. There's meron ng, or my and bare noun. So these essentially mean there is or there are. At first, we thought that there was an animacy or humanness distinction between them, but we've seen both my and meron ng uh, with different animals. So it seems like they can both work for at least for animals or humans. Now that I think about it, I don't know if we got any inanimates with meron. But so meron ng bata tsaka may aso. There is a child and there is a dog. Um, and there is a house behind the building, or a house is behind the building. You can translate with may bahay sa likod ng building. Um, Existentials can also introduce a new referent, which comes as a verb first relative clause. So we saw this twice in the frog story. There suddenly was a rat that came out, biglang may lumabas na dagat. So where may introduces this whole phrase, lumabas na dagat. Um, and then suddenly an owl came out of the tree. Tas biglang may lumabas na kwago galing sa puno. Existentials can also mean have if a direct case marked NP follows the whole construction. Um, so the chicken has a big round head. May malaking mabilog na ulo ang manok, where ang manok is the subject, so it's the thing that has malaking mabilog na ulo. And with meron, you can get, for example, meron ng pera si Ivy. Ivy has money. And there's apparently no difference between meron ng and merong. Merong pera si Ivy. So apparently nung can be shortened to the the engma proclitic linker, or it becomes at least identical in form to the engma. Um, the negative existential is wala, and it sometimes looks like a quantifying determiner, and other times it kind of looks just like a normal predicate. So Ivy doesn't have money, or Ivy has no money, is like walang pera si Ivy. And there's no book at home. We get walang libro sa bahay. Um, so walang libro looks like it could just be a noun phrase of no book. And then you could kind of think of it as the same as a null copula construction if you call this a noun phrase. And that contrasts with wala ang. So the book isn't at home. Wala ang libro sa bahay. And wala ang pera ni Ivy. Ivy's money is gone. So in these wala ang, the direct case marked thing, it's actually presupposed that it exists. It's just not at some place, or some person doesn't have it. Um, Whereas with the walang, it's more like the the thing following the engma doesn't exist. You can also get a slightly different pattern if the possessor is a pronoun. So, for example, if it's ako, it'll actually come before the existing thing or the thing that is had. So, meron akong malaking mabilog na ulo is I have a big round head. Um, so in the other examples, the direct case marked possessor came at the end, but here it's coming directly after the existential. And this also happens in the negation. Wala akong manok. I don't have chickens. Maraming salamat ulit. Thanks again.